Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. Let's talk marketing, everybody's favourite subject. So we're going to talk today a little bit about marketing in a different way to where you may have been marketing before. But before we start, let me just introduce myself. I'm Angela Turton. I'm Senior Partner with Action Coach in Oakham. I run Action Coach Oakham with my husband Rupert, and this masterclass, or this is a latest in a series of weekly webinars and workshops we are running to help business owners through the COVID crisis and beyond. So just a quick bit of housekeeping. Could you please raise your hand if you can hear me? For those who haven't joined us before, everybody's finding the raise your hand button, so that's great. And if you could just raise them again if you can see my slides. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, so there is a chat box and a Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. I will be monitoring those as we go through, and I will be stopping for questions as we go through. But if you have got any burning questions or you want me to go over something and clarify anything I've said, please pop it in the chat box or the question and answer box, and we will get to it as soon as we can. So, why now? Why are we talking about marketing now? Well, because it is very, very important. It's very important at all times, but even more so in a period of confusion and uncertainty, that we tell our clients and our customers, our suppliers, and any other potential stakeholders what we are doing. So are we open for business? If not, what are we doing to get back to work? And how many of you here on this call actually want to be the world's best kept secret in your business? However shy and retiring we are in life, when it comes to our business, we really need to be out there. We need to be being seen. And that's what marketing is all about. Oh, apologies. Marketing is all about helping somebody find you. And sometimes our industries and our marketplaces can be a little bit crowded. And what we need to do is we need to make sure that people find us. We need to point the arrow or the star on our bottoms and so we are here. This is us. And you may not be able to go out to people at the moment. So let's make sure that what we do now is really clear and really focused on making us stand out from the crowd. When we're all online, sometimes there's a little bit more noise than we have had previously. So we really need to make sure that what we can do about that. Some of you have heard me speak about Andy Bounds before. Some of you have attended webinars that we have done with Andy. And one of his very, very clear messages is that you need to know what your afters are. So what he is saying here is you need to know what it is that your customer or your client is left with after they have finished working with you. So for example, an accountant, people don't care about whether or not you're an accountant or not, or a bookkeeper. What they want is they want to know that they have paid less tax, that their books are in order, and that they have knowledge about their business, and they're not going to be getting a fine from HMRC. Is my audio any better, Amanda? If I move the microphone. Okay, we'll keep going. If it gets too bad, let me know. So, so this is something that we are really clear on with our clients, is that we need to know that you understand what you are doing. And Andy calls this an afters causing thing. So when you are thinking about yourself, you need to be aware that you are an afters causing thing. Let me see if I can change my sound a little bit. Hold on 2 seconds. Right, hopefully that'll be a little bit better. Okay, so we need to make sure that you know what you are doing. What are you causing in your clients? So for us as action coaches, what we are causing in our clients is for them to have a better business, for them to have a business that works around them, and for them to have a business that gives them more time and more money. So we know that that's what our afters are. So what are your afters? So if anybody's got a clear idea of what their afters are, perhaps they might pop it in the box, and we'll have a little look at those in a minute. Hold on 2 seconds. I can just turn the sound to something else. Apologies, we're just trying to sort this sound out. I've got IT sorting me out. Okay, hopefully we have just sorted the sound out, and maybe it's a little bit better now. Thank you very much. So we've got afters coming in, better awareness of sales, fantastic. Sales so important to us all at the moment. Got the right type of finance to agree their business needs, absolutely, something we all need. Great PR, wonderful. Thank you, Amanda. Right. Okay, so moving on. Once you've worked out what your afters are, you need to talk about it. But the way that we're talking these days is going to be different to where we were before. Our whole message has to be one of compassion. It has to reflect the current situation. And when you are talking to people, you have to be putting yourself in their shoes and saying, is this a message that I would like to hear right now if I was them? So for example, if I'm talking to a client or a potential client in Leicester, I don't want to be talking to them about how great it is that I'm going to the pub this weekend, because of course they've gone back into lockdown. So we have to keep looking at what is happening in the business, and we have to keep bearing that in mind when we're talking to people and when we're marketing. So it's very important that not only do we know what our afters are and we're leading with our afters, but actually our message is also great, that we really do understand what we're saying and what our customers want to hear right now. So we're going to be giving them as much value as we can. We're going to be giving them help and advice. And I think things have moved on. When we did this webinar, just straight after lockdown came on, there was an awful lot of fear and uncertainty. And although there is still fear and uncertainty around, there's a lot less. We're coming out of that. So it's not as necessary to be giving quite as much as you were before. And the next thing that we have to think about is what our customer journey is. How are we going to get our client from the first point of knowing about us
all the way through to becoming a client. Now, this is sort of merges into sales a little bit, but when you're planning your marketing, it's really important that you actually have your sales process in mind, because everything that you're going to be writing about will want to move your client and your customer, a potential client, from where they are now, knowing absolutely nothing about you, all the way through to signing up and being a client with you. And there may be multiple routes for them to get there. And it may be that actually you're working, you go one way, but if they say no, or they've got a decision to make, and if they go route A, then they'll be taken down a different route to get to you than if they choose route B. So it's making sure that you actually know where you're going to lead people through. And bear in mind that your customers and your potential clients have no idea of you at this moment in time. So you have to make it obvious which way they're going to go. You have to guide your customer through it. And once you've got this this journey and you know where that first gate is, then you can start to direct all your marketing to that first point of entry, so that or multiple points of entry if there are them, so that your customer is guided effortlessly through the maze and will find you and become a client. So previously, if you have been previously marketing and going out to customers and doing cold calling maybe, or even turning up and doing drop-ins, going to physical networking events, doing maybe sending out mail outs, all of these sort of things, it's not going to be possible at the moment. And even as people are going back into the office, we're having a lot of sort of like staggered offices. So the person that you need to speak to may not be there if you just drop in to see hello and talk to somebody. So your focus is moving more to trying to get people to come to you than for you to go to them. So it's inbound strategies that you'll be looking for. So when you're planning your marketing, you're trying to work out how it is that you can get your customer to come to you. But also, we need to focus on the customers that we have had in the past, or the customers that we've got now, to make sure that they stay, because it's a lot easier to keep customers and to talk to people who've already had an experience of you than it is to go and find new customers. So one of the things that we're asking our clients to do is actually to look very closely at their own existing clients, or the clients that they've done business with in the past, and to see whether or not they can re-engage those people, or that they can make give something back to those customers, so that the customers then become loyal clients who will go out and talk about you to their friends and contacts. And now is the time to actually concentrate on what your core business is. Let's make sure that's stable and that's good, and that you have given maximum value for your core business, rather than all the little bits that go around the edge, because people will get confused about your message if you're not very clear on that. So that's all well and good, but how do we actually do this? Well, the first thing we think about is getting yourself online. Now, obviously, most people now have moved onto online in some way or shape or form. Almost all the networking meetings just sort of got themselves online almost straight away. And we are now finding that there are more and more online networkings coming through, and people are enjoying it. And more people are networking now than they did before, because they only have to give out maybe an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours of their time to the network. Whereas before, it would be a travel there, which may be half an hour. And if you've got a lunchtime meeting, it quite often took the whole day. By the time you got there, you may have met somebody beforehand and met somebody after, and that whole day out of work. So more networking is going online. But if you have got yourself online, we need to make sure that your window to the world, as it were, is good enough. So look at it again, look at it regularly. When you looked at it at the beginning of the COVID crisis, you may well have put an awful lot of support stuff on there. You might have put a lot of help and advice on your website. Is that still what you want to be doing with it? Does it still give the impression you want to be given? If you are wanting to be seen as a very professional organization, your website has to be professional. It has to come across, it has to be seen on multiple devices. So it has to give the impression that you want it to give. Does it appeal to your target audience? Make sure, as we spoke about before, your target audience are those people who will get your afters, and make sure that actually you're talking about that on your websites. Can visitors find their way around? This is really important. If they click on your website and it's really confusing with loads of buttons and loads of colours and everything is just happening all at once, and there's just a confusion of ways to go, people will often just jump off. So make sure people can find their way around, and that something on there is of interest, whether it's a video there that they can see what you do, or maybe it's an article that they really would like to see, but make sure it capture their interest. And lastly, how can you capture the information of any visitors that you've got to your website? And is there something that you can put on your website that allows them to leave you a message and maybe give them something? And that is what we call an easy yes. So if you've got something on your website like an information booklet or something like that they can just get, if they give you your email address, then you've then got their contact details, and then you can follow up so that you can actually see who it is has been into your website. This next slide is from a masterclass that Action Coach did with a number of marketing professionals, one of which was an unbox. And he is a website designer, and I loved the fact that he was showing this so clearly that I borrowed this slide from him. But what you want to be showing is that your website is more than just a shop front, because you actually want to be inviting people in to it, and you want to be having them to see, come in and see us. Don't just walk on by, or as these days is, scroll on by. The next thing is, what are you going to put on your website? As I said to you earlier, the message is all important. So you are looking at the message and how you say it. But what are you going to actually put online? What's going up there? So first of all, it needs to be driven by the needs of our clients and our customers. So when you are thinking about what your clients and customers need from you, that will start to promote more and more of the content. My apologies. We seem to have lost you for a moment there. Hopefully you're all back. Yes, so a lot of accountants were putting out throughout the COVID crisis a lot of content about the furlough scheme, about the loans that were being given. So there was a lot out there that we were being put out, and that's really important. So they knew what their customers were wanting. They've been speaking to their customers, so they knew what to put out for them. If you can bear to be, to have videos of yourself put out there, then put those on. Any blogs you can do now, it does say daily in there. I'm not sure that daily is good. At the moment, it will depend on what your customers are and what they need, but certainly been putting on blogs out there in a consistent fashion, dependent on what your audience would like, would be really good. So that might be monthly, it might be quarterly, it might be daily, but that may be too much. You might be overwhelming them. If you are going to be daily, then you need just short snippets, because nobody wants to spend half an hour reading a blog every day that you've sent out. Social media posts, we'll come on to those in a little bit. Any videos that you've got, interviews are working really well at the moment, where you've helped a client through COVID put out an interview on what you've done, maybe put it on LinkedIn or something like that. And lots of things. Just think about what it is your customer would like, and start putting those out. So the content will be just more and more of what you need to show your client. One of the things that we found is that decisions are based on emotion. Most of the sales divisions are based on emotion, but backed up by logic. So when you are marketing, you need to be able to hit the emotional hotspot of whatever client that you are talking to. They want to know that they will engage emotionally with this, whatever it is that your afters were, and that then what they want to do is they want to be able to back up that. So when you are marketing, have in mind what the future decision of that person will be, and that they can actually engage, which is why stories are so great, because they do hit the emotion, and people can actually visualize what they're doing. It's why videos are also so good, because they actually trigger emotion, especially if you've got a story of something in that video. But you will need to know what the logic is behind their buying decision, so that you can make that very clear on all your marketing, that they have that available for when they are ready to buy from you. And this is where, you're thinking, how am I going to explain this? How am I going to justify this spend? And this is what we should be doing with all our contact. We need to be making sure that it's actually there for us and it's actually working. So think about what content you've got, make sure that it covers all of these things, that it does entertain, as I say, that will help with the emotional buy-in and inspiring, obviously. It would be great if you could educate people into things like they do, and that could just be top tips. So, for example, if you are a bookkeeper or an accountant, the top tips might be pay by credit card. Sorry, no, don't pay by credit card. Pay by debit card, because that will flow through into your bank account, and we can capture all of that. So it's little tips that might be going through. And we've got bookkeepers on the call that might actually disagree with me on that one, but lots of things that you can put through. So we're opening a dialogue. So I might put something up there that is actually quite controversial, but it'll open a dialogue. One of my recent posts was on BNI, and I know that that's a bit of a Marmite subject, but it opened a dialogue and allowed me to talk to people. When you are thinking about doing a blog or a vlog, you need to actually think about making sure that it's relevant to your people. Have a compelling headline. So the first paragraph, and the headline has to draw people in, and the first paragraph has to keep them. Once they've read the first paragraph, they probably keep going. But if the first paragraph is really boring, then they probably won't move on from that. Especially if they're reading it on a mobile phone or mobile device. So you do need to keep it very short and snappy. Make sure that first paragraph really keeps them reading. Have some keywords in there to make sure that it's picked up by Google or any of those search engines. Graphics are great, again, because it keeps people engaged. And those statistics up there, you can see that actually, if you are blogging or vlogging, it does really, really have a good effect on your business. It can raise your profile, which is what marketing is all about. Be professional, but make sure your personality comes through. Don't be just a corporate person sitting there that could be a robot. Make sure that your personality is in there, especially if you're the one that's going to be delivering the service. And as I said earlier, stories are great. Facts sell and stories sell. It hits the emotion, and it helps people to remember what it is you do, because quite often people don't remember facts, but they do remember a story. And the last thing is, when you're doing a vlog or a blog, to try and have a call to action, so that you can say, visit us online at wherever it is, call us for more information, engage with me, follow us on Facebook, whatever it is that you want them to do. Make sure that it's clear what the next step is for your client. As I said, videos are really, really good in having those on your website, having them on your Facebook page, or to show them. Again, they don't need to be very long, depending on what it is that you're doing. YouTube is one of the fastest growing, it's probably the biggest social media platform these days. And it's one of those things that, you know, if you've got a YouTube presence and you've got videos up there, then people will find you. I think it's probably higher than 52%. I think you'll probably find that if you have a video, you'll find it's higher than 52, that you get a much better return on investment, especially as there has been studies that have proven that actually rough and ready is better than very professional and very scripted. It depends what you're doing and who you are. And there probably needs to be a bit of a balance, but it doesn't have to be a very expensive thing to be putting out on your website. So there's not a huge investment necessarily. You can do it with your webcam, or you can do it with your mobile phone. The quality that you get these days from phone is really good. Does anybody have a lot of experience of putting videos up? Is there anybody on the call who is really, really good at videos? It might be interesting to see where they are. My husband Rupert's been doing a lot of Facebook Lives and getting quite a lot of interest in those. So it's really good to see the interest that people have taken, even if they don't always watch it all the way through. And again, you know, you've looked at your website and you've got all these things that are moving on, and then you've got to check your social medias. Okay. It is amazing how many people in business have the same Facebook page for their social interactions as they do for their business. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but actually you've got to be careful that what you're doing on social media is not pushing out loads of pictures of you know, loads of cat videos or whatever it is that you've got an interest in outside of work, but that actually it does give you the the professional image that you want to be giving out. So choose your platform. There are loads of social media platforms. It gets lumped in as social media, but actually very few people can have excellence over all of the social media platforms that are out there. We now have TikTok for Business coming through. So that's another one for you to decide whether that's something that you want to get involved with. Lots of people on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, if that's something that is you know, for you. Twitter, again, Donald Trump's favorite platform, but it depends what your business is and what you want to do. with your marketing as to which of those platforms is the best for you. And you may well need help to get that right, and you may need to talk to somebody about getting stuff up there. So have a look, and yeah, three social media platforms. Yes, absolutely, Simon. So choose 2 or 3 that you're going to focus on, and if you want to experiment with the others, that's fine, but 90% of your time should be spent on the ones that are actually going to get something through for you. Give you that attention to those platforms that you've decided you want to be using. Use hashtags, learn the hashtag. It's a fairly new thing for me. I'm still learning hashtags, but actually what they do is they get noticed by people who have got the same interests as you. And what we are looking at is we are looking at the quality of what's going on. It's not the amount of followers you've got. It's not the amount of likes you get on a post, although that is helpful, but it's actually what happens next. So it's great for our vanity and our egos if we've got lots of likes and lots of interaction. But actually, if you've got a really good post up there that only interacts and talks to one person, and that one person then becomes your client, then that was a good post. So you've got to be looking at your posts, and you've got to be looking at what has happened to them afterwards, so that you can test and measure which ones were good. And as I say, it's not about the quantity, it's about what happens to those people. And it's not necessary to have a call to action on every single post, but make sure that you are giving somebody a clear way to interact with you. If it's on Facebook, then you've got the ability to private message people, and you can ask for that. And again, on LinkedIn, you've got that ability to do things. So think about what platform is right for you, and think about what you're going to say on there. Just a very quick aside, courtesy of a friend of mine called Alison, who was involved in our marketing masterclass as well. And what she was just explaining to us is the difference between a Facebook boost and a Facebook advert. You can boost any pre-existing post to reach a wider audience. So if you are going to be doing that, make sure that it's one that's already had some engagement, because then you can tell that some of your clients actually think that's useful. So if you boost it, you will have to pay some money, and you assign a budget when you do it, but actually you know that that's something that people are interested in, so you can boost that and get a wider audience. And the advert is where you actually create usually a series of adverts. Is a campaign and not a one-off usually. That's the best way to use it, and it reaches a wider audience, and that will be you will be creating it from scratch for a particular reason. So you may have a campaign to get people into a particular event, or to go to a particular part of your offering that you will be doing. What you can see is that actually most of what people see is the tip of the iceberg really for a campaign, because your first post will entice people, and then they will, if they look at that and they engage in that, then you'll be sending them another post and that they will see, and then another post that they will see as well. So it needs to be worked out very clearly and very cleverly. This is something that you probably need help with, unless you're really, really good at Facebook ads, because actually you need it set up. You need a lot of matrices behind it. You need to be seeing what it is, and you need a clear path from the advert through to what you want them to do with it. So again, if anybody has a huge amount of experience on that, and please type in that. And if you don't, then I do think that come and speak to us, and we can pinpoint you in direction of people who can help you with this. Now, one of the things you have to be careful with marketing. Marketing is all about building a relationship with somebody. It's being seen, but it's making sure that they know, like, and trust you. It's making sure that they identify with your values, and that you are inciting positive emotions in the marketplace, and that actually what you want to do, what you want them to do, is actually something that's congruent with them and with you. So the trust formula is made up of credibility, reliability, and likability. So people need to know that you've got that all of those things, and your marketing will be reflecting of that. But it can be undermined very, very easily if people see that, or if it's perceived that there's a self-interest at work here. And of course there is a self-interest. The self-interest is that you actually want to increase your business. So the marketing is there. But if people see that that's too high on, that it won't, it's sale at any cost, and it doesn't matter whether or not the customer wins, then they won't trust you. So when you're giving out your marketing messages, you have to be aware that the client will be saying, is this a person I can trust? So this is, it's very, very important that people remember you for the right reasons when you are marketing and providing your marketing campaign. So you should be focusing on the other person. What is it that they want? Remember, we're talking about afters. We're talking about how it is that they want to feel once you've left the building. And so you've got to be giving out that whole experience for them. You don't want to be making a remark. A number of years ago, a famous jeweler made a remark about in a private meeting, or a shareholders meeting, which wasn't that private, about how crappy his jewellery was, that it was a bit of apologies. So how did that make his customers feel? The people who'd already bought from him, they would be made to feel very, very bad. So where are you guys in your marketing journey? I'd be really interested to hear whether or not you're very confident in your marketing, whether or not you feel that your business is celebrating and out there and being seen, or whether or not you feel that you're a little bit a top secret at the moment, and you need to do more on this. If you are happy to pop that in the chat box, that would be really great. Okay. Yeah, and I'm sure Amanda won't mind me sharing that she's actually in a very difficult marketplace at the moment, because there's a lot of charities who are uh, fighting for funding. So it's really important that we actually get out there. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of people who are in a difficult situation, and to be able to keep the business going when you're furloughed is hard. Um, well done, Jackie. That's really great. Okay. Okay, so we've got a lot of different people in different situations coming through. I have finished with the marketing. Does anybody want to ask a question? Has anybody got any questions about anything that I've talked about today? Okay, okay. So hopefully you've got a little bit of an idea now of how to start thinking about marketing. It is important that we sit and think about what marketing we're doing before we launch into it, because it's very easy with marketing to go off down a rabbit hole talking about something that actually doesn't lead your client anywhere. So when you are marketing and you're trying to establish what you're doing, it's probably a good idea to just sit in a safe space and just draw something out on paper first, and then if you are in a situation where you need to get moving, then to get help to do that if you need help, but actually to approach it in a very structured way, and to do the testing and measuring. And we mentioned that a little bit to do with posts, but it is very important that you actually know what your marketing is doing and where it is being great. Um, yeah, and I think there's a lot of people who are changing what they're doing at the moment now, because their business was something going into COVID, and then suddenly either that's not available or their values have changed. There's a lot of change in values happening. Some of it to do with the COVID pandemic, some of it to do with Black Lives Matter campaign. And these things have made us change. So that's why it's very important that we keep an eye out for what's going on, so that we are responsive, and that our marketing does come from a place of compassion, and not just push, push, push. And thank you, Simon. Yes, once we've got our marketing activities happening at any one point, and we've decided which ones are our best strategy, then we can get a business plan, which is the next thing. We'll be talking about that, I think, a couple of seminars down the line. Okay, so if you have enjoyed the webinar, and even more important, if you haven't enjoyed it, I would love it for you to give me feedback. I'm sure you've got something there that you can take away to use in your business, and it would be really important for me to know what that is, so that I can share that with more people. If you haven't already had a 30-minute follow-up session, then please do book on our website. We do have a workshop on marketing next Tuesday, which is not compassionate sales at all, and I apologise for that. It's about marketing with compassion. And so if you are interested in coming along to the workshop, what we'll be doing, we'll have a little bit more of learning, reminding people of what we've been talking about, but actually we'll be looking at your marketing, and we'll be doing, well, does this give me the impression that that I want to give? So if you do want to have a little bit more feedback on what marketing you should be doing for your particular business, then the workshop is on next Tuesday, and there is a link in the email that you were sent about this one. So please, if you could do that, that would be great. And also if you could follow us on Twitter and Facebook, that would be wonderful. Our Facebook lives are usually first thing in the morning, but we are having a little break at the moment, and we're doing a bit of testing and measuring ourselves. So just if you could follow us on Facebook, that would be great. So if there are any further questions, let me know. If not, I will hopefully see you on Tuesday, or just give us a call, and we will be here to help in any way we can. Many thanks, and I apologise for the interruptions with the internet.